what town are you?
Sadly, no longer London, England.
Yes.
I'm in Lewis, by the sea, by the bright shining sea.
So all the way across the ocean, Ed is joining us from England. It's 5 o'clock there. Is that right?
It is on the dot of 5 p.m.
You're welcome. So it's the end of Ed's day. Well, not really, but it's the end of his work.
Oh, Patty, there's so much to do after this. You have no idea. The day's barely begun. But yeah, but this is the best bit of my day by far.
That's lovely. So he's somebody that we had in Petaluma for a couple of visits, and we've stayed in touch over the years, and he has a brand new book that is out today. Does anybody have anything to show him for the book's birthday today? Oh yeah, I think we've got signs.
What? Oh, that is sensational. Thank you. I'm on the verge of tears. Tears of joy.
Birthday.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. And do you guys know that this is a book birthday in the States? Here where I live in England, my book isn't even out yet. This is the world, the international world / universe. Nowhere else in the cosmos is the book out yet. I believe it's coming out in a couple of months on Pluto and Neptune. But this is the Universal Universe premiere event. So you guys are hearing the news first.
You're the first ones. So you take it on, Ed. Everybody here's Ed.
I mean, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't, you guys decide. You can let me know at the end when I've gone. So
take it away.
Take it away. Okay. Well, first of all, hello everyone. Can I ask teachers, do you mind just for a little bit? Can I have your mics on so I can hear the roar of Californian and Oregonian voices? Is Oregonian right? Is that what?
Good
morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Guys, too. Say good morning.
Not going to be like this at all, I'm sure. So hold on, wait a minute. I need to. I always do this, and it's important that I do. I'm English, which means English people, you may or may not know, are supposed to be very polite. So I have to formally introduce myself. My name is Ed Vere. So I say hello. But I need to, I don't know any of your names. So when I count to 3, you all just yell out your names, please. So hold on, I'll count to 3, and then we've been formally introduced. So 1, 2, 3.
Say your name.
I think I had a Florence there and a Joel, and I think there was a Nell. I'm not sure if there was a Patty or not. She's quite shy though. Goodness me, all these children, and yeah, there was a Joseph, there was a river. There were all sorts of lovely, beautiful names. Anyway, I have to say hello, and I don't know if you guys know. I guess you know what I do. Don't you? I'm an author. I tell you, we have the mics off now for a moment. Now, can you hear me? Hands up if you can hear me. Hands up again if you'd rather not hear me. No, put your hands down. Patty, outrageous. I can go. So today is a very special day. Today is my book birthday. So this book is called The Artist, and it's very special for me because when I don't know how old you all are, but I'm guessing some of you around 5. Can you put your hand up if you're around 5? 4, 5, 6. Now, if you're older, are you 7 or 8? Can you put your hand up? Like some 7 or 8s. Are there any, if you're 9 or 10, can you put your hand up? A few 9s and 10s. if you're 11 and 12, can you put your hand up? Now, anyone sort of around 18? No? Okay, right. Okay, so when I was 5, sorry, I'm digressing a lot. When I was 5, I had 2 ideas about what I wanted to do with my life. So I lived on a farm, and one idea was to be a farmer. And the other idea, because I love drawing, was to be an artist. So this book is kind of all my thoughts about what it is to be an artist. And it took me a very, very long time. You won't believe how long it took me to write this book. And I'm not going to tell you, because I think we could save that for a question and answer session. And you guys can have a few guesses at whether you think it took me about an hour, half an hour, a month, maybe a week. Could it be more than a couple of months? Is that possible? Could I be that slow? You'll find out, and you might be surprised. So we'll leave that for a cliffhanger towards the end of the session. So I think what I'm going to do is, shall I tell you about this book, or should I read you this book? I think the best thing to do is, I think I'm going to read you this book. And then we might do some drawing, and then we might have lots of questions and answers, and then I can talk about all the things in the book that I like to talk about. So what I'm going to do is work out how to share my screen. I'm going to go here, share, it says, and then I go view, full screen mode. There you go. You're getting a technological lesson here as well, ish. Okay, there you go. So this book is called The Artist, and it's by a very famous artist called Edward Vere. Ed Vere, that's me. Hello, nice to see you all again. Now then, let's move on. That's the cover. Oh, and I should tell you, because some people have been confused, and I don't know what you think, and maybe that's another thing we can say for questions. What sort of creature is that on the cover? Because there's a few people who've had a few different ideas about what that creature is. So I'm very keen to hear your opinions. Some of you may be very certain, some of you may have doubts. Anyway, yeah, have a think about that. You'll see this animal all the way through. So where do we go? Oh, there we go. So this is a book called The Artist, and it starts like this. Are you sitting comfortably? I hope so. Then I shall begin. In the middle of drawing a drawing, someone asked me, what is an artist? I thought about it for a long, long time and said, the world is a wonderful place, alive, full of joy and full of beauty. The sun shines and the sky is blue. And actually, if I look outside, the sun is shining and the sky is indeed blue. And I hope it is with you as well. So the world is wonderful, alive, full of joy and full of beauty. Sometimes we're too busy to notice it. Artists try to see it all. Here is an artist. She sees the wonder, the joy, and the beauty. She sees it all and makes it into her art. Now, I don't know if any of you, or some of you said you like drawing. Do some of you draw at home? And does this scene perhaps look a little bit like some of you drawing at home with a lot of paint, a lot of bits of paper, and maybe some crayons and animals and all sorts of things? I need to know, actually, so can you store up this in your heads? I need to know what you guys draw. So I'm going to use questions at the end. Full full of dreams, things imagined and things she has seen, all fizzing, buzzing, bumping together, around and around, turning into ideas and sometimes into art. The artist plays with crayons, paint, and pencils. She dreams as she draws. Her dreams turn into a plan. The plan is to share her pictures with the world, to show the world as she sees it, its joy and its beauty. And so she must go on a journey far from home. Time to hug goodbye the ones she loves. Time to be brave. I'm going to tell you about this page. This page was one of the first pages I drew in this book, and it's inspired by a very famous children's book, A Little Bit, and it's about a character in this famous book who sets out in a little red boat just like this across a night ocean, and he arrives at a wild island. I don't know, does anybody think they know that book? Do you think it's a book? Could the character be called Max? Do you think the character might be called Max? Could it be Where the Wild Things Are? Does anybody know that book, Where the Wild Things Are? It's one of my favorite books of all time. So this page was inspired by that book. So the artist arrives not on a wild island, but she arrives in a rushing, bustling city, a busy, big place with plenty of space. With plenty of space for what? For pictures. So this city is based on one of my favorite cities. This is, it's on the other coast to you guys. This is based on New York. It could be Chicago, one of those. A city with big, tall buildings. The artist begins, small at first. Busy people going places, slow down and look. They see the artist's world. And they like it. The artist paints more. The artist paints bigger. More people come from all over the city, slowing down to see what the artist will paint next. So many people all watching, so many people all waiting, which is when I think she might be starting to feel a bit nervous with all these people watching and waiting, which is when the brush slips, the artist colors outside the lines. Oh no, she says, I didn't mean to do that. I think I've made a mistake. The artist feels embarrassed. Instead of brave, she feels sad and all alone. I don't want to paint anymore, she says. So she puts down her paintbrush and stops. The busy city people gather round. Please don't stop painting, they say. We love your pictures. Now, I want you to look very closely at this picture because there are lots of different people in it. And there's actually I'm going to go back because you might have missed something because I went so quickly. I'm going to go back to this page. Can you see all the people? If you look on the right-hand side at the feet of the artist, there are all these people. And there's a little boy with a dog. Can anyone see a penguin? Can you see a penguin in there? Is it too small for you? I don't know if you can see it. There's a penguin. Can you see a little girl wearing a red dress? There is a little girl in the red dress. Let's have a look. Now, is she on that page? Not sure if she's on that page. She's not on that page. But if we go back to this page, can you see the little girl in the red dress? She's right at the bottom on a scooter. And if you go to the right of her, there is a self-portrait of the artist with his bicycle and his cat called Max. So that's a self-portrait of me, my bike. Anyway, that's not part of the story. I don't know why I'm boring you with these details. There's a hedgehog. Do you have hedgehogs in the States? Is that a thing? It's not. A hedgehog is like a tiny, I don't know if you know what it is. It's like a tiny porcupine. So it's all bristly and spiky, but it's like the size of a kitten. And they live in hedges and bushes and that sort of thing. They're very nice and they snuffle around and they're very sweet, but they are very prickly. Okay, so the busy city people gather round. Please don't stop painting, they say. We love your pictures. A little girl in a red dress steps forward. Coloring outside the lines doesn't matter, she says. Mistakes are how you learn. Heart is what matters, and your art is full of heart. Please paint again. This artist is brave. She tries again. She forgets about lines. She thinks of the world she knows, alive, its joy and wonder, the sun and the sky, all its beauty, all of its messy beauty. Wild and free, her colours fly. This artist's heart is full. And maybe that is what an artist is, I said. So keep drawing, because maybe you are an artist too. And this book is dedicated to the artists. Keep seeing the beauty, it says, keep going. And this book is dedicated to a wonderful friend of mine called Jan Pinkowski, who is was a wonderful illustrator and writer of many beautiful children's books, including lots of pop-up books. And he was the person who really taught me so many things when I was your age about what was important in being an artist. And one of the main things he said, because I was always amazed that he didn't have a TV in his home. And I asked, why don't you have a TV? And he said, because if you look at the world around you, there is so much going on. There's so much theatre and drama, and you see, if you look really carefully, there is so much that's fun, and you don't really need a TV when you see all of that. And he thought that was one of the main things about being an artist, was learning to really look at the world, to see all the beauty in the world, and then to maybe draw and make books from it, or to be inspired by what you see in the world. So there we go. That is my book, The Artist. And now I think, what should we do? I think we should do some drawing. However, first of all, I did just find some original artwork from this book. So what you have seen just then is the finished book. But of course, a book comes from somewhere, and it comes from many ideas and many doodles and sketches. So this is can we focus, can we make the overhead screen bigger, please? If that's possible. And what I might do is just hold this up to the camera so you can really see it a bit more. Can you see that?
Yes.
Do you remember what page that was? So that was drawn with this pen, which I believe Patty has seen before, which is a very, very old-fashioned pen that nobody uses anymore at all. But it's something that architects use. Architects are people who design buildings, in case you don't know. And my dad was an architect. And this is the sort of pen that my dad used to use. So you dip it, you're going to see, I'm going to show you how to use it later. You dip it in a pot of ink and then you draw with it. And it's a beautiful pen to draw with. So that just came out of my head one day as I was thinking about what it means to be an artist and going on adventures. And then let's have a look. And so when I'm drawing all the people, can you see that? I draw them all separately. And then all the ones I like, I cut out, put on a piece of paper, and then I scan it into a computer. And then I put the whole book together in the computer. So these are just a few little doodles that turned into a crowd scene. Not sure if oh yeah, there, can you see there? There's the little girl with her dad wearing a fancy hat. There she is again with her dad not wearing a fancy hat. And I really enjoyed drawing the cars in this book. That's like I think that's something like a Cadillac Eldorado from the 60s. It's probably pink. Let's have a look. Here is a bit of a city scene. That's on the cover. And oh, here we go. Here's a complete crowd scene. In fact, that's a crowd scene that has me in it. Can you see just there? So that's the crowd scene where our friend, the artist, is very down in the dumps and she's sitting in front of the city thinking she doesn't want to paint anymore. So I had lots of fun drawing all of these little characters, all sorts of people.
And do I see characters from some of your other books in this picture?
Patty, that's very well spotted. You do. There's no, who's in there? So so yes, Mr. Big is in this book. Max the Brave is in this book. I don't know if Max is on this page actually. He's in I added him in the book, but you can't see him in this crowd scene. And also, did you spot Leonard from How to Be a Lion? Mm-hmm. He was on the wall. And then the last picture I'll show you is, here we go. This is a good one to show you because does anybody know a book called How to Be a Lion, about a lion who's a poet? Hands up if you know that book. That's the book. I wrote that book before I wrote this book. And I do like Leonard the lion. And there he is sitting. Can you see him just there if I get really close to the camera? He's sitting, there's a statue of him in the middle of the city. And I think he's talking. I think it's a statue. He's a statue that talks. And he's sitting there enjoying life and talking to all the people who go past in the morning on their way to school and probably on their way back as well. Very content. And then let's zoom out. And there is enormous Diplodocus and the whole city that she has painted at the end of the book. So can you put your hands in the air if you're ready to draw? Are you ready to draw? Do you all have drawing stuff? Or do we need a musical interlude whilst drawing stuff is handed out? Oh yes, it looks like we needed a tiny interlude whilst all that goes on. Okay. Good.
Does that mean you're going to sing us a song?
What should I sing you? If only I could remember the lyrics of any song. But Patty, you know what it does mean? It means you can sing us a song.
Oh, no. What I'll do is ask you a question.
Oh yeah, go on, ask me a question. That's a good idea.
This is from
Will you sing a song?
Exactly. This is from Kelly in Miss Hanley's class at Loma Verde School. She wanted to know how many
Hello, Kelly, by the way.
How many colors of paint do you have? Do you have to mix a lot of them?
Wow. You know what? I mean, can you see that? That's the top of all my colored pencils. Can you see all of those?
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you, I'm going to get up show you what I find very exciting. I'm going to show you two things because I want to show you more than one thing. So this is my box of watercolors, which to me is like a box of treasure. The beautiful, beautiful colors, and it's just wonderful to wet a paintbrush, put it in there and see the color flow all over the page. So whenever I look at this, it just cheers me up. It doesn't really matter if I do a good picture or not. It doesn't matter at all, but just looking at all these lovely juicy colors is just exciting. I know it's going to be a good day when I look at this palette of colors and I can do something with it. Anyway, there we go. So I want to show you, this is one of my absolute favorite authors. So he, sadly, is no longer alive. He died a few years ago, but he was a very famous, do you know who this is, Patty? John Birmingham?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you might. Do any of you children, maybe you've seen this person. So this book came out in around 1969, very long time ago. And this artist is, so many people who do picture books, they write and they draw and they do a bit of painting. And some of them are more writers than they are artists. And some of them are sort of equal writers and artists. And some of them are just like painters. And it's all about the painting and making beautiful pictures. And they write well too, but they love the painting. And John Birmingham was one of those. So this is just such a beautiful joy of a book. It's so painterly and loose, and it's full of mistakes. Some people get really concerned about making mistakes. And this is all just, you know, allowing himself to make mistakes and to see what happens when you make a mistake. Like, look at all these pigs, all this sort of color splattered everywhere, and it's a complete mess. But it's a beautiful mess, an absolutely beautiful mess. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was young and I made a mistake, I sometimes got quite worried about it and thought, oh, I haven't done it right. And then as I get older, I realized there's no such thing as right when you're making a picture. The most important thing is that you make a picture and you have fun doing it. And you make a mistake sometimes, and then you draw over it and you carry on and you realize that mistake was a really good thing, because it helped you get to this end result that if you just given up, you wouldn't have ever got to. So it's very simple text, and the colors are just like masterpiece paintings. They should be up in the best galleries in the world. They should be up in the Tate Gallery and the Museum of Modern Art and the National Gallery and the Whitney and whatever fancy art galleries they are. They should be full of children's book art, I think, because it's some of the best art that there is. It's the truest, most honest art, and it's playful and it's funny. I love this page in particular. This page is like how I think of a beautiful summer's day, and has managed to capture. Sometimes when you draw, you're trying to make something look like somebody or like a car. Or when I was young, I liked drawing motorbikes. I was always doing scramblers, trying to get the engine right. But this picture is trying to evoke or make you feel the feeling that you feel on a really hazy, hot summer's day, just towards the end of a beautiful summer's day when you've done wonderful things with people that you love. I love that picture. And then there's a man being chased by buzzing insects. Sure, we all know that feeling. I better start drawing because we haven't got loads of time. Now then, that preamble takes us swiftly. Are you ready to draw? Can you put your hand up if you're ready to draw? Good. Now then, I normally do like an oath of allegiance when I start drawing, and I think for this book I ought to. So can I ask to have all, just for a moment, can we have all mics on, please? So I can hear some of you. Wonderful. Thank you. Now then, I'd like you to hold your drawing implement in the air like this. And I would like you, please, to repeat.
You need to hold your legs there.
Repeat after me. I do solemnly promise that I will do my very best
That I will do my very best
to draw what Ed Vere is drawing here. But if I happen to make a small mistake, I will not jump up and down and shout and scream.
Jump up and down and shout and scream.
I will not fling myself upon the floor.
I will not fling myself
I will not kick my legs and wail.
I will not wail.
And I definitely will not throw a chair out of the window.
And I definitely will not throw a chair
Because I am a reasonable human being.
because I am a reasonable human being.
And I understand
And I understand
that mistakes are part of making art.
Mistakes are part of making art.
Well done. Okay, now we draw. So can I ask for mics? Oh, we can have mics on or mics off. I don't mind now. So
Yes, you did.
this is a sort of semi-complicated drawing, but I have absolute no doubt that you are all very fine artists and you are going to do your own beautiful versions of what I'm going to try and draw here. And I might make some mistakes too. So let's have a look. So you're not going to have much of a clue of what's happening, but just do more or less what I'm doing and you'll see something emerge. So I'm going to draw a shape like this. So now I should say this, that shape like this is quite small on my paper. So try and draw sort of the size I'm drawing because we've got to leave room for everything else that's going to go around it. Patty, please, will you draw as well? I'm going to be most upset if I can't see your drawing.
I just got some paper.
Good. I thought I saw you doing that, but I wasn't sure. Thought you might be scrolling through your phone or something. Okay, now next to it and a tiny bit lower, we draw another shape almost identical like this. Now you have to concentrate very hard sometimes when you draw, and this is going to be one of those times. So I'm going to draw. Oh, notice I'm using that pen I talked about earlier. So do you see I dip it into the ink, then the ink sits in there, and there's just enough to draw a few lines. So now I am going to draw a line from here, and then it goes down, something like this. And then it sort of curls around there. And then we go down like this. And then I'm going to do it slowly so you have time. Hopefully you can see enough on your screens. Now, we're going to draw a straight line up and then down. And then up. And then down. And then let's do another up. And then let's do another down. And then let's do an up that sort of goes like this. So I'm sure you can guess. Or maybe you can't. I don't know. Let's see what's going on. We're going to do a shape like this here, which I'll tell you, I'll let you into a big secret. That's a nostril. And then we do another one beside it like this. Now, so that's a mouth and big jagged teeth. And now we will draw what will become a bit of a chin. And then that's going to go round to about here. Now this is complicated, and I know you're up to it. So sometimes when you lie on your tummy and you're drawing, you prop your head up and you sort of put your elbow on the ground, and then and I can see one of you drawing and glasses and you're raising your eyebrows. You're doing exactly that. Yes, you. I can see you. So I don't know if anyone else can, but I can see you. So you're doing exactly what I do a lot of the time. And that is, I put my head, I don't know if you can see my face as well. I put my head on my hand to prop it up whilst I'm drawing and as I'm thinking. So
I do it every single time I'm drawing.
Oh, do you? Yeah, me too. It's the best way to draw. It's very comfortable. So now we are going to sort of draw shape that goes up like that, and then do not worry about getting this right. Nothing is really right, but sort of goes like this, and then sort of goes like this, and then it sort of goes back here. I never really get this bit totally right, but anyway, more or less something like that. And it turns into a little arm, because these creatures are very famous for having quite little front arms. I don't know if any of you guessed what sort of creature it is yet. I'm sure you're going to tell me, or not, maybe you won't. So then we draw a line. We're going to draw a line that goes maybe to about there. And now we're going to start near the top of the head again. And there are some spikes, kind of spiky, scaly spike things. I don't know what you call them. Patty, what would you call these? Are they spikes? What are they?
Scaly spike things.
Scaly spike things.
I think you were totally right.
I was right first time.
Back scales.
Sorry?
They're called back scales. They're on a pretty
Back scale.
full
Oh,
dinosaur.
thank you. There you go. Now I've got the technical back scale. So we draw well, that's the top of the head scale. And now we're going to do some back scales. So up like that. This bit's kind of tricky because you're drawing the scales and trying to get the shape of the back right. So it sort of goes like this. Just do your best, and your best will be good enough. There you go, something like that. Let's go for one more for the time being, because then I don't know how you guys lie down when you're drawing, but when I do it, I'm going to start drawing a leg here, and then there's going to be a knee. I kind of put my legs up in the air. So here's, I think, the back of the leg, and then the back of the knee, and there's a spike at the back of the foot, and then we draw the foot, which is going to be kind of like upside down. This is super complicated, and I can't wait to see your drawings, and I think they're going to be really good. I don't think I know it. So there's one leg. So let's do a few more back scales. There's one here. And this is where it all gets super complicated, because you've got back scales mixing with feet. And then we've got to start thinking about the other leg. So that goes up here. So we don't see it all because it's behind the body. And then this will be the foot. And let's try some toes, just curling up a little bit. Curling in contemplation. There we go. Something like that. And then that goes down there. We're doing for time. We're okay for time. Patty, if you want to ask me some questions whilst I'm drawing,
Yes, I'd be happy to. Why did you choose a dinosaur as your main character?
Oh, so have we established it is a dinosaur?
Well, I'm just
Good.
reading the question, but
Yeah,
yes, I'd
it's
say
a good
so.
question. I'd say so too. I think she is a dinosaur. Some people call her a color dragon.
By the way,
And I-
that's from Mrs. Mellinger's class at Prestwood Elementary.
Okay, well, hello class. Lovely to have you along for the ride today. And I hope you're having fun with these back scales, as much fun as me. So why? Well, I'll tell you. So this book, and we're going to talk about this, took a very long time to come into being. But the first thing, and sometimes this happens with books, is, and it does a lot with me, so that all my books start with a character. And I had drawn a dinosaur, and I knew not a lot about her, but I did know that she loved painting and drawing, but I didn't really know what her story was. And so for quite a long time, I had this dinosaur and she didn't have a story. And I guess the simple question is, because I one day drew a dinosaur and I really liked how she felt. She felt like she was really interesting and full of fun, and I wanted to know her story. So that is, I don't know if that answers why, but I guess the real answer is one day I happened to draw a dinosaur and I really liked her and I wanted to know her story. And so it took me a long time to work out what her story was. But it's like lots of things. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but when I draw, I often don't know what I'm going to draw. I just doodle and something comes out. Maybe it's a gorilla or an elephant or a building or a car or a planet or a rocket or I don't know, or a picture of the sea or mountains. And it just happens. That's a beautiful thing about drawing. You don't really know what you're thinking until you're halfway through. And even then, you don't. So there we go. Next question, please, Patty. Did that answer adequately that question?
I think that was a very adequate answer. How about, did you like school as a child? And if so, what was your favorite grade? Those are both from Mrs. Welty's class at Spring Lake School.
Good questions. I did like school. I liked school up to the age of about 10. That was a time from 5 to 10 I really liked school the most. And by the way, I'm going to say something now about this drawing. So now you have drawn her and I'm just going to have fun with color. And so you don't have to copy this bit at all, but maybe you can have fun with, if you've got colors, you might have colors later. You can just make a beautiful mess of color in whatever way you want to make it. So as I'm answering questions, I'm just gonna see what happens with color. So hold on. Yes. What was the question again?
It was, did you like school as a child? We got that you liked it from age 5 to 10. And also
I liked it much more then. And less when I was older. And I think that's because I was always itching to sort of be out in the world and free and, you know, playing and all that sort of stuff.
what was your favorite grade?
Does that mean
What year?
Favorite year?
Yeah.
No comment. I don't think I had a favorite year. I don't know. Somewhere in between 5 and 9. The ages of 5 and 9, I would say.
Okay, so we'll note that you're evasive on that question.
Evasive, yeah. I'm generally a pretty shady, evasive character.
Noted.
I know you know that, Patty, but these are sadly finding out.
When, let's see, do you ever get stuck with an idea for a book? And if you do, how do you get unstuck and get creative again? And that's from Mrs. Livingston's 5th grade class in Rincon Valley.
That is a big question that requires a big answer. And it probably requires me to say something about how long this book took. So, yes, I got terribly stuck writing this book. And like I said just now, I drew this character and I knew that she liked art, but there were so many different directions the story could go in, and I couldn't make up my mind about where it should go. I just didn't have a clue what to do. And I tried lots of different things, and I was on the verge of giving up so many times. And so sometimes the answer of what to do is to just put it away for a while and then come back to it. You know, maybe go for a little walk and don't think about it. And then you come back and all of a sudden you have a good idea. And it's like taking your mind off the problem is the way to solve the problem. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you ever have that? But this book took, I think I'll save this for another question. Well, maybe I'll tell you. Shall I tell you? How long do you think this book took? Can you put your hands up if you think the book took a few weeks? No, let's start lower than that. Let's start. Do you think hands up if you think the book took me an afternoon to write? Okay, maybe a couple of hands. Maybe hands up if you think it took a couple of days to write and do all the pictures. Hands up if you think it took a couple of weeks. Hands up if you think it took a few months, like maybe 6 months. Oh yeah, okay. I think that's the average for doing a book, but some people take less, some people take more, but it took me more. Hands up if you think it took 1 year to write this book. I can see some very surprised looking faces now. Okay, hands up if you think, but hold on, I can see this guy's really slow. So I think it took more than a year. Hands up if you think that. You're too polite to probably say that, but oh, okay. Some of you aren't polite, I see. No, this book probably, I was doing other things, but honestly, this book took me from start to finish about 5 years to write. 5 whole years, can you believe it? I was pulling my hair out. I almost gave up writing books altogether because I just thought it shouldn't be this hard. I don't know why it was. It just took a very long time. And sometimes it made me really miserable whilst I was writing it. And then sometimes it made me really happy whilst I was writing it. When the ideas started to feel like it was the right idea and not the wrong idea. And it had been the wrong idea for such a long time that when it started to become the right idea, it felt like one of the best things you can ever do is to write stories, because you finally get there and it finally starts being the story that you want to tell. But for a long time, I knew I didn't have the story that I wanted to tell. But it did eventually become the story I think that I wanted to tell. So yeah, this book took a very long time indeed. Patty, are you shocked and horrified?
Since I was, very well aware how long it was taking to get it book from you.
Okay.
Not at all shocked.
Indeed you were, yes.
Do you get your, let's see, I'm trying to actually tie this to somebody's question so I don't hijack the conversation.
You can hijack to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Well, I guess that answered how long did it take you to do this book from Miss Churton's class at Old Adobe.
It did, yeah. So that was for you guys, for everyone, but yeah.
Did you when did you first know that writing a book was something you really wanted to do?
Not for a long time, because I definitely knew from the age of 5 that I wanted to be an artist. And that was to make pictures, because I loved drawing. And I loved drawing. I loved sitting in front of something and trying to draw it. And I loved also just drawing from my imagination. but I hadn't ever thought. And when I was young, when I was your age, not yours, Patty, but the kids, I didn't feel I was very good at writing. It was like my worst subject at school, and I always got the lowest marks, and honestly, I felt a bit stupid when I was writing, and I felt like all the other kids got it and I didn't. So I felt bad about myself. And then as time went on and I became a grown-up, and I studied fine art at art school, which I loved, and I love making paintings, and I used to draw these pictures, and I realized that the characters all had stories to tell, and I realized I was the only person who knew what those stories were. And so I started writing, and I found it very, very hard, and I wasn't sure if I liked it or not because it was so difficult. But then over the years, and with lots of practice, I found I got a little bit better at it. I mean, I never got good, but I got a little bit better, and then a bit better, and then a bit better, until I really started to love writing as much as I love drawing. And I think drawing comes a bit more naturally to me, but I do love writing. And so I guess I was about 25 when I realized I wanted to write books as well as just draw pictures.
Oh, that's cool. And that, by the way, that was from Adam in at Marin Primary School in Jennifer and Samantha's classes.
Hello, Adam, in Jennifer and Samantha's classes.
Just want to make sure we give everybody credit. So
we need to get there's a lot of credit to go around, and I'm fearful that we're not going to get around every bit of credit.
We're definitely not. When you said, so Miss Mellinger's class at Prestwood, who we've already talked to once, they asked, where did you get your education? And I think it maybe in particular, you said you went to an art school?
I did. So I went to a normal school when I was a kid. And then when I was like 18, all I wanted to do was to be a painter. So I went to an art school where they teach you, or they don't always teach you actually, but where you can all day long. And I just thought this was the best thing. I couldn't believe it was possible. All you're doing all day long is painting pictures.
Wait, you don't have to do math or writing or study history?
I mean, if you want to do maths, you can, but you don't have to. And I didn't want to. I just wanted to paint pictures, and I just loved it. I couldn't believe life contained the possibility of spending all day doing what you want to do. But funnily enough, when I was young, when I was like your age, not yours, Patty, the kids, I didn't realize you could live life like that and just spend all day doing what you want to do. But actually, sometimes if you work out what you want to do and you head there, you can. So yeah.
Okay.
That was what I realized.
And we're actually almost up on time, so I'm going to do one more question, but I also want to tell everybody listening that Ed signed a bunch of book plates for books, and he drew this little character who needs a name, by the way, on the book plates, and they're great. So if you haven't ordered a book, we may still have enough left. And I hope
every single book plate, I believe there is a different
with a rainbow pencil.
Yes.
So teachers, you can send those links home again today. We're going to keep it open until tomorrow because I think everyone's going to want to join in on this book. But then I'll ask you one more question in classes as you have to log off. You can, and thank you all for joining us, and a big thanks to Ed. But Ed, if you'll wrap us up with, if you were not an artist or author, what else would you like to do in life?
Oh, that's a really good question. Is that from you, Patty?
No, actually.
Who's that from?
That's from Miss Churton's class at Old Adobe.
That's a wonderful question. Well, I could say farmer, because that's what I wanted to do when I was really young. But actually, one of the things I really love, I love reading. And so I don't know if this is a cheat, but I love reading travel books. So these are books written by people who go on adventures. Normally they go on their own and they travel around the world and they learn about other places and how other people live in other parts of the world. And people live in different ways everywhere. And everywhere it can seem funny to us from where we live, how somebody else lives. But when you go there, it totally makes sense how they live. And so I'd love to be a travel writer and just travel around the world and write about it and draw pictures about it. And so a few people are holding up their drawings. Can I ask all of you to hold up your drawings? And am I allowed to, I'm going to take a screenshot. That's what I'm going to do. Can I take a screenshot? Is that legal? Is that okay? Oh, don't know how to do it. There we go. Can you all put your drawings up? This is just sensational. Absolutely amazing. Keep holding your drawings up closer to the screen if possible. Can I also ask you all to unmute so I can hear the roar of disapproval or approval? Guys,
Nice one,
I knew
Arian.
there were going to be some good drawings.
Hold it up while you're holding.
Oh.
Absolutely. Wow.
Hey, yo, that's really in my face.
That is
That's in the camera.
super hard to win. You guys have hit the ball.
How's your old man here?
Proverbial
Blake Elementary loves
Oh.
you.
joy. This is a joy. Honestly, you guys, can I tell you something? This is my book birthday.
Thank you all.
Made
It's
my book
really
birthday.
great having you here. Ed, thank you for joining us.
Wow. Another round of applause for those amazing drawings. Well done, guys.
Stay seated, please.
I would have gone with lighter colors, but my watercolor brushes are not light at all.
That's okay. Well, and if you haven't had a chance to finish, you can take the time after this session to add color,
Can we listen, please?
your own drawings, do everything else. And the most important thing I have to say before you all sign out is remember when you're making art and pictures that mistakes are really important part of it, and mistakes are how you learn. Like I learned to be an artist by making hundreds of thousands of mistakes all along the way, and that's the only way you get better. Anyway, sorry, that's too much of a moral lesson, but it's kind of important to know, just in case you didn't know. I thought I'd let you know. So I'm going to say thank you very much for being here, spending part of your morning with me. It's been a joy spending part of my afternoon with
Thank
you.
you.
So thank you. Thank you all. And have a salute.
Thank you.
And a
Thank
say
you.
a what?
Thank you.
Dancing once more.